Okay, back to the another one of these, our daily bread. This was an interesting title. Once again, it starts out with a bit of scripture here. Therefore, we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. I've got half of that right. I need to work on the other part. I got the wasting down. The Dwindles, that's the title of this one. That's interesting. Except I have not read this. I've not studied these necessarily, so this is new to me as it's new to you. The Dwindles. It started with a tickle in my throat. Uh-oh, I thought. That tickle turned out to be influenza. And that was just the beginning of bronchial affliction. Influenza morphed into whooping cough. Yes, that whooping cough. And that turned into pneumonia. 8 weeks of torso-racking coughing, it's not called whooping cough for nothing, has left me humbled. I don't think of myself as old, but I'm old enough to start thinking about heading in that direction. A member of my small group at church has a funny name for the health issues that assail us as we age. The Dwindles. But there's nothing funny about dwindling's work in action. In 2 Corinthians 4, Paul too wrote in his own way about the Dwindles. That chapter chronicles the persecution he and his team endured. Fulfilling his mission had taken a heavy toll. In quotes, outwardly we are wasting away, he admitted, but even as his body failed from age, persecution, and harsh conditions, Paul held tightly to his sustaining hope. In quotes, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. These light and momentary troubles, he insisted, can't compare to what awaits, an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Even as I write tonight, the Dwindles claw insistently at my chest. But I know that in my life, and that of anyone who clings to Christ, they'll not have the last word. Then this asks a question at the end here. What dwindles are affecting you or someone you love right now? What can help you maintain your faith and not during seasons of struggle or discouragement with health issues? Father, even as our bodies waste away, help me to see those physical struggles through the lens of our hope in Jesus and the glory he promises. This will sound kind of strange, and this is not something you should research necessarily, but back in the early 2000s, there was a television show on HBO, and it was called Deadwood. And I didn't watch it when it was on TV, clicking through, because we had cable at work. I didn't have a TV at home. But later on, I got really bored. Back when you'd go rent videos, this kind of thing, whatever that place is called, video rental joint, whatever. And I'd seen everything in there. And so I rented this TV series called Deadwood. It was 3 seasons from HBO. And the bare minimum, it's extremely profane. It's beyond rated R, I believe. It was written very well, the story they were trying to tell, but extremely profane, death, murder, just not something you want to worry about now. And I'm saying, don't go and research this. You don't have to. But there was a preacher, I think in the 2nd season. This guy always plays these kind of odd roles, but he's playing this preacher. And he's going through Deadwood when it was all this gambling and prostitution and bars and they were doing heroin and all this terrible vice. And then there was a plague. I think they had one of the plagues back in the 1800s or whatever. But this guy was a preacher, and through all this bad stuff, I mean, to me, the guy it's a shining example of the gospel, how someone who actually operates in this thing. From this totally profane television show, this guy was a great example of a Christian. He kept a positive attitude, although he had been persecuted, been abused, and whatever the case is, he still kept praying for these people. He, at the risk of being ill himself, he was still helping all these people that had this disease. But it was just one of those things. I remember seeing this thinking, wow, this guy, I watched it again not too long ago. And it's still, like, it's just a movie. It's a fictional character. But to see this way this man operated, this preacher, using every opportunity to share the gospel, completely selfless. And at the time, he's dying. He's a brain tumor, and every day he's in a little worse shape. And he finally dies. But up until the end, it was always, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. What is to come? And it's impressive. Dave Milch wrote the story. He was the creator of that television show. I always thought it was extremely well written. Anyhow, the Dwindles. Love you, God bless.